actually happened to them, they don't know what the fuck you went through. Excuse my expression.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it takes an extremist to deal with an extremist.
Right.
But the problem with humanity is when people start talking and going back to the Hammurabi code of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You get those people who were like, whoa, hold up, brother. Wait a minute. Whoa, now. Whoa, hold up, man. Right. Listen, violence only begets so much violence that, you got to be peaceful. And in a perfect world, you're absolutely right. We should be peaceful, but we don't live in that world. So when you take, hypothetically, if you take that same brother who says, you know what, I'm sick of this. They keep killing my people and supporting white supremacy. I'm going to bomb down on every single white supremacist gathering there is and do what they have done to us. He gets no support. Because then he's gone too far. He's considered an extremist. But he's just giving to them what they've given to us.
Mm-hmm.
An honorable minister, Louis Farrakhan, said that the problem with people of color today is that they're not afraid to give their lives for the cause of what they believe in. And in layman terms, niggas ain't ready to die yet. They'll die over $1 a bag of dope, to prove if they real and this, that, and the third. But to die against the people who hate you, they don't care. They don't man, they'll talk as much shit as they'll talk as much garbage as possible, but they're not going to die for the cause. You sit here and say, okay, we'll go and do a rally for, the push or the NAACP, this, and we're going to march and this, that, and the third. But why y'all ain't riding on the people? Why you ain't riding on the KKK rallies? Why you ain't plucking them off? You say you don't have a problem with white people, right? But yet, you say you only hate those who hate you. Mm-hmm. Well, there they are. That's the rally. Here's the gun. Do for self. They ain't gonna do that because it's highly probable that they will die. And you have very few people who will go to that extreme to say, I'm going to die for this shit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take out as many of them as possible because they hate my existence. They ain't people that's like that. Which brings me also to the third, and that's what's going on now. 50% of it is the supremacy factor, but 50% of it is also us. We are products of our own destruction. We've given people the power over us in indirect ways. For example, I'm going to use the African American culture for a prime example. Our brothers and sisters who, theoretically are African Americans or African American descent. Our culture teaches us not to fuck with the police. Excuse my expression. It tells us not to be snitches, not to anything that has anything to do with the Justice Department, the justice system, things of that nature. We embed that and we program that from adolescent kids on up to not mess with the police or not to be a person that's a snitch or a police.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So therefore, the turnover rate of African Americans, or I should even say minorities, because we're not just the only ethnicity that has that mentality. There's others too. But the turnover rate is very, very slim of these ethnicities that actually become police. So when you have that happens, and then you add into the aspect of you have people who don't know you, then you have add in the concept of they don't understand you because they're not you.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't grow up where you lived. Or if they did grow up where you lived, they grew up in a certain type of programming or fear,
mm-hmm.
to where they had to where they feel that to have power, they literally, by having a high school diploma in education, they literally took the law into their own hands by becoming a quote unquote officer of the peace,
mm-hmm.
an authority figure. You can't be mad at that when the police brutality happens. Because as a person of color, you allowed that to happen. Because you taught your children and you've taught yourself and programmed yourself that I ain't want nothing to do with the police, man. Police officer, not me. You allow that. So, greatly, because there's less of us in the Justice Department, you can't sit here and say, I want equal rights, when we haven't even tried. We haven't even, and when I say try, I'm not talking about, lay down our lives for it, march for it, this, that, and the third. No, we've geared our community to just basically to succumb to we ain't gonna be police and take the initiative to police our own communities, but we want them to do right by us. How the fuck does that sound? When we tried it, this is many moons ago, as my grandmother would say, many years ago. We did it with the Black Panther movement, where ideally we wanted to be able to police our own communities. And there were several other what they would call militant factions who wanted to take the law into their own hands and police their own communities, in those eras. And of course, we all know the government shut that down. Okay. So then from that era, we moved into an era of the gangs, mm-hmm. where the street gangs were, throughout the nation and throughout history, if you research, they are people that are of the community, and they're supposed to protect the community that they presided in. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem with that is we failed ourselves. We was doing a decent job at one point about that, but when the drugs came in and the money came in, we turned against ourselves. We turned into instead of being the victims, we became the savages that preyed on our own people. It don't matter, what the Reagan administration or the presidential administration, it don't matter how many drug laws that they put into the community, that push drugs into the community. It doesn't matter. We still bought them. We still sold them. We're still responsible for them.
Yeah.
We know that, like I said, there's 50% that has the supremacy factor that, doesn't like us. That, due to try to populate the world or depopulate the world, they're going to do whatever it is they want to do to keep us in a certain space. But when you take their drugs and you sell it to your community and contaminate your community to a point to where now you're killing over it in your community instead of fighting them, you've given them power. That bag of dope, you put a bag of dope on the table right now, it ain't hurt nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But when I take this bag of dope, and depending on what I do with it, I give it power or let it empower me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, the crazier part about it is, look at, even in the music industry, how we've let it empower and devour us. Once upon a time, if a person was smoking weed, they was like, yeah, bro, he got some problems. He going through some things. He on that reefer real bad. But, he going to make it through. He going to get him some help, this, that, and the third. The person even knew, yeah, man, I got a problem, man. I just can't stop smoking this weed, man. I'm addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
There was actual such thing as weed addiction. Now, it's become blurred. Oh, I'm not addicted to it. But yet, you fiending for it. You can't go days without it. You looking for the bag that has the highest THC levels and chemicals. That's MK Ultra. That's mixed up in your weed.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you like to smoke exotic though.
Mm-hmm.
You don't smoke the Indian reservation. No, you like that exotic fire because it gets you high. Through the weed, they've contaminated you. And they've contaminated you to now you're not even getting high off of the plant. You're getting high because of the chemicals. You see what I'm saying? And through our culture, we've made that, we've helped them or destroyed ourselves to basically turn the spectrum to where, man, everybody should do weed, man. You ain't smoking? Dude, you got problems. You ain't smoking. You got every way to be. Man, you should be smoking right now. You know what I'm saying? We've given them power. Another thing, and this is the bitter truth. If there's a new drug that's in the market, if a scientist somewhere comes out with a new drug and it gets people, there's in a theoretical alleged world, there's a warehouse full of this new chemical. That's a drug. You know what's the quickest way to distribute it? Or to get people, or market it? Get an entertainer on it. Have them talk about it.
Yeah.
Through that entertainer and through the entertainment industry and basically through the society, now I have a market. Because everybody's going to want to try what old boy talking about. We didn't know what the hell Molly's was.
Mm-mm.
You had very few people that knew what Molly's was. But when rappers start talking about it, now they want to pop a Molly. Now they want to try it. They want to pop a pill of X, and they want to do this. And